Tom Martin. I'm so glad you joined me. Today, we're going to be talking about resilience, mindset, and getting out there so we can share our message with the world, regardless of the obstacles. Welcome to Tom Martin Media Presents. This is actually the very first episode of my podcast. I'm really glad you joined me. I have a 35-year media career. The first 20 as a television news producer with many news organizations here in the United States, and then the past 15 in public relations. I love meeting interesting people. I love having thought-provoking conversations. And I have an ideal friend and guest joining us today for our very first episode, Victoria Essner, joining us from Las Vegas. Victoria and I met early last year, through a program we were both participating in. And I was immediately impressed, and you'll quickly understand why. And I just am really happy that we have this chance to talk. Okay, Victoria, how are you?
Very grateful, Tom. Thank you for having me.
I love how you focus on that word every day when we talk. That grateful is a great way to be, certainly. So we're going to, in a few minutes, we're going to get into the program that you're introducing to the world, Caregiving Made Easier. I know so many people need that. It's interesting. I know that both you and I are, shall we say, Tony Robbins fans in many ways. And I remember Tony saying, when people listen to an interview, say like an interview with an Olympic athlete, for example, we start thinking, what would it be like for me? What if I was in that person's shoes, and so on? And we'll hear about your caregiving there at home in Las Vegas with your sweet husband, U.S. veteran, great man. As my story, I can't help but think about some of the things that I've been through recently in terms of losing loved ones and so on, and the fact that my mother, who passed away about a year ago at the time we're recording this, about a year ago, opted for hospice and so on. And but I really want to hear from you. We all, when I do my coaching and online courses and so on, I love supporting people who really want to get out there and make a difference. They're almost on a mission. There's something they're passionate about. They've accumulated knowledge, and they want to get out there and share it because they know that the lives of other people can be made easier through that knowledge. But tell us what you're pursuing right now and the message that you want to share with other people.
Well, it's very important to me. And I, from an early age, have been service oriented and helping others. So, what led me to create this course was the numerous obstacles in the way when you're dealing with providing care for a loved one, and how much time it takes for each item. That time is precious. And I want to spend as much time with my wonderful husband and not all the aspects of the caregiving. And that's what led me to creating the course. And it's not easy to be a caregiver, by no means, but it can be easier if you have the knowledge and the tools.
Makes sense. Makes sense. I know that'll help so many people. It's interesting, as we're talking, I'm reminded of a couple of books that I've read in recent years by kind of motivational speakers and coaches and so on. Lewis Howes and Ryan Holiday, who both talked about stoicism, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. And I think Lewis Howes has said, what stoicism means to him is like the obstacle is the way. And there's a great book about writing. There's a classic Japanese book called The Art of War. And author Stephen Pressfield wrote a book called The War of Art. And he said, just by the very nature that it's difficult, that it's a challenge, means you're compelled, you must accept the challenge because, you're going to be tapping within yourself, bringing out your best. We all have gifts inside. I really believe that. But, Victoria, like so many of us in different ways, and, walking down the street, we might never know the challenges that's in another person's life, but you have challenges in your own life personally, but you opted not to give in to them. But I love, we were talking earlier a little bit, and I love how you explained how you sort of turned that around. But tell people about the challenges that you work with every day.
Well, I was diagnosed legally blind at an early age. losing my eyesight due to a childhood accident. And I'm also hearing impaired, but it has always been a blessing to, and I know when somebody hears that and me say being vision impaired is a blessing, it truly has been a blessing for me, because through my lack of sight, I have been able to help so many others with the true challenges that one might face. And it led me into my career choice. And I'll wait a little later on in your program when you ask a question on that, if that's the better time. But my passion to help others is because of my lack of sight and the obstacles I faced back in the early 80s without assistive technology. And now when we say the word assistive technology, and it means different things to others, but if you just think about AI and the advancements on technology and how much that AI can help somebody, imagine now how much it helps a person with a disability, lack of sight, or hearing impairment.
Absolutely. I've seen some amazing stories in the news about, I think back, I was working for Good Morning America, about 15 years ago, and I visited a medical clinic in Miami where they were focusing on paralysis. And I think Christopher Reeve was still alive at that time. And he said, I will walk again. He was paralyzed in a horseback riding accident. He said, I will walk again. I will stand, and so on. And I'm not sure how far Christopher Reeve himself got, but just that mindset has led to some amazing innovations. And again, through AI and so on, brain, the combination, I guess, of brain surgery with AI and technology. It's just it's amazing what's possible now. So for those who are kind of ready to give up, and I'm sure it can feel daunting. I mean, there are new opportunities and amazing miracles every day. And that really brings me around to mindset. Again, when I do my coaching and lead online courses and so on, or even when I work one-on-one with a PR client, mindset as far as what's possible is so important. Again, I come out of the news media, and so often people really generalize about the media. I mean, it's kind of, there's so many different kinds of journalists, so many different kinds of shows and magazines and outlets and so on. I think it's sometimes a little unfair to generalize, but there does seem to be a lot of like negativity and pessimism. And earlier today, I was thinking about it. I forget the name, which comedian said this, but he said, they should just call the news "What's Wrong." Tune in for half an hour of what's wrong. So it's very easy to kind of feel overwhelmed by all of that. Like some of our friends, including, we were talking about Dean Graciosi, says, don't listen to the news. And me, I disagree with that, because I think through the media, we have an opportunity to connect with a wide range of people who need our wisdom. Basically, they need your wisdom, that's for sure. But how has mindset played a role in your life in terms of helping hundreds of people through teaching them assistive technologies, really embracing your role as caregiver? Not, I again, listened to what, my mom remarried many years ago, and I remember some conversations with her husband. He was feeling very overwhelmed. It's understandable, but mindset is really so important in life, isn't it?
It is very important. And how I start my day each day is with prayer and knowing that this day we have a choice, and I choose to be positive and happy and embrace the challenge, whatever comes by. If I do it with a smile, I do it with a grateful heart. And how can I get through this in a positive light? How can we change that extremely negative, whatever might be happening, with that thought process? There is a way. You can do it. And I believe that if we have that I can do this attitude, there's nothing that can hold you back. And I try to always, I will not ask my husband or somebody I'm assisting, whether it be an individual who's sight challenged or disabled, I won't ask them to do something I'm not willing to do first. And I set that example that it can be done.
Yep. No, you're an amazing, amazing role model. I picked up on that first time we met in one of those
Thank you.
courses. Absolutely. So, if there have there been times when it's felt overwhelming, and then you somehow, I know faith is very important to you, as you said, and you've rallied and said, let me, just take a deep breath, and like you just said, there's always a way, but you've managed to go for, make that pivot from feeling overwhelmed to saying, oh, here's how we get it done.
Yes, I think it's really important for those listening that you're not alone in the situation you're facing. You're not alone. Just just know that. And if you reach out to a couple specific incidents early on in learning the aspects of caring for my husband, one of them in particular, it's not like I was born into the nursing world or wanting to become in the medical field of any sorts because I do not like blood. I do not like,
I'm with you
even
there.
lack
Yeah.
of sight. That's not my thing. And I had to learn how to give shots and do things that might, you might see some blood. Well, there's two things you can do. I reached out to a dear friend who retired in the nursing field, asked for a little bit of guidance and assistance on what's the best way to do this procedure. What do I do? How do I do it? I practiced. And again, it's knowing that you can do it, but also being humble enough to ask somebody with experience and research and ask for that help because it's all right as well.
Yeah.
And I'm the first that will say, I'm not sure how to do this. So would you show me? And also immerse myself into studying and training because the knowledge is the key and does have, like the answers we're looking for. But the main thing is we're not alone.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. No, that's such an important message. And would you tell people out there who are listening to this interview, watching this interview, that there are people out there who appreciate being called upon? I mean, it seems like sometimes I feel like kindness is a, vanishing trait in our society these days. There seems to be more meanness popping up and intolerance and all of that. But you're in a great position, not just, in your own personal situation, but having worked with hundreds of people who appreciate support and, that helping hand. Uh, would you say there's still a lot of people out there who appreciate helping others?
Absolutely. We're here and it starts with us and our example. And I believe that anything can happen. And if you're in the grocery store, somebody might bump you with the cart. You have two ways you can handle that: be upset and, react in a negative light, or be kind. And I have always chose kindness. And I like saying, and I truly feel it, if you're kind, kindness is contagious. So reach out. If the your question is yes, those who want to serve, its service is not an inconvenience.
Yeah,
It's a passion of
yeah,
helping others.
yeah. No, I know. I feel good when I'm helping others and like introducing them to a new idea, or saying here's the path we can use to get where you want to go, and it's a really good feeling. I love that, and I've certainly appreciated my friends and sometimes even strangers who've showed up, and have been feeling overwhelmed or down or what have you. So again, we've been talking about mindset and the fact that there are always solutions available to any challenge. Are those qualities that went into the creation of your course, Caregiving Made Easier? I'd love to hear more about it, and what people that participate in it can get, and how it brings about a real transformation in their lives.
It was developed to take the numerous challenges of caregiving and the different aspects, medicine management, communications with medical staff, nurses, and the whole team, knowing what's the important items to document with your loved one. So when you do have the meetings with the doctor, it's the information to share with the doctor and the staff that would best help your loved one. All of these tasks can take a lot of time away from spending with your loved one. And I truly wanted to make caregiving made easier. The ABCs, truly ABC, simple. And with that knowledge, with that ability to simplify some of the tasks, and the reason I don't want to get emotional, but I spent years on some tasks that I never want my clients and my friends and individuals, students that might be seeking for answers, to have to go through what I went through.
Yeah.
And that's where the passion came
Yeah.
to, when I sit and I spend that valuable time with my husband, it's because I have a system in place and the tools in place to truly make it easier, because caregiving by no means is easy. I want everyone to know from my heart that it can be easier, and that's how and why I created the program.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, no, that really comes through. I'd love for everybody, listening or watching this conversation to take that to heart also, that there's something, I really believe that it's almost a human impulse, or essential drive to share our wisdom with others, even if it's just one person on the bus or what have you. But it's like the more people, the better, because we can make one another's lives easier. We can spare other people something, like you said, those times when you just thought the challenge seems endless, but it wasn't endless, and you found a way through. I guess, what do they say? Go over, under, through, or around. And so you've found these solutions, and what you offer in your program just sounds really invaluable. And I think it really embodies that desire to be of service. I know that you worked with the state of Nevada for many years there, as an expert in assistive technologies, again helping hundreds of people, and again gathering that experience. I know you said, perhaps even as might even say God's plan, that you were to accumulate all this knowledge so that you could help hundreds of people. But it's clear to me that that really is your driving force. So it's not, now that you're working independently and so on, but it's not like, hey, let me think of a way to make some money on the side. It's like that has nothing to do. It's really of being of service. Is there something you'd like to elaborate on that, about why I think it's really good for all of us to think that way?
It's a key point that when we have a talent and we have a gift, I truly feel if we don't share our talents and gifts with others, we kind of lose them. And I hold my talents close to my heart because I know they are gifts from my Heavenly Father. And it's how we interact with others and what we're willing to share. That time is so precious, that helping somebody and being the light that somebody needs at their time, whatever their time is, that's my mission.
Yeah. And I can't resist letting our audience know that when we talk about feeling your mission there, you're quite a courageous and fearless individual. Can you tell us some of the things that you've done over the years?
Well, uh, as I would say to my friends, I know I have three fingers in front of my eyes because they're mine, but if they were yours, I wouldn't be able to see them even at a short distance from my face. But yet I skydive, I jump dunes on a 500cc ATV, hiked many of the um, hills in Nevada, Utah, Hawaii, the Stairway to Heaven, and the different things that you would typically not think somebody with very limited sight would do or should do. And it's just that can do philosophy of not to be fearless, hiking the Grand Canyon and other laying on the edge of cliffs just because they're there
I love it.
and
I love it.
on
I couldn't
top of the
resist
glaciers.
as you're talking. I couldn't resist going to my little iPhone over here and looking up one of my favorite quotations by Helen Keller. Life is either a daring adventure or nothing,
Or
right?
nothing. Absolutely so
That
true.
that embodies you so beautifully. So, as we wrap up, tell people how they can contact you and learn more about your work, or maybe they have questions. I know you love helping people, and they can learn more about your program, Caregiving Made Easier.
Thank you. And I will add that um, if you have the right attitude, the right mindset, the can do attitude, if you have the right tool, training, and attitude, there's nothing you can't achieve in life. Um, I can be reached at my email, which is Victoria at
Right.
victoriaessner.com.
That's Victoriaessner.com.
Yes. And the website is victoriaessner.com.
Beautiful. Well, I love it. And I love the look of your website also. I mean, the so
Thank you.
bright and positive, and I love that. And as we wrap up, I'll just throw in my little invitation here. Also, I love helping people. Also, I love kind of brainstorming sessions. That's why I love, some people have approached PR saying, "Oh my gosh, it's such a challenge. It's so hard to get your story out through the media and so on." Well, I take, kind of I mean, maybe one reason Victoria has become one of my favorite humans is that, she takes on, it's not a challenge, or maybe it's a fun, stimulating challenge to come up with a strategy to achieve what you're after instead of saying, oh my gosh, there's a roadblock there. What are we going to do? So, one little tidbit I will offer is that if you're pitching your story to the media, clarity makes all the difference. And you want to kind of speak the same language as the journalists because they're busy people, and you want them to say yes, I'd love to do a story about that. And so if you'd like a copy of a little guide that I've put together, it talks about the 8 different storytelling styles. There's the coach, there's the author, there's the expert, there's the nonprofit representative, and so on. So just send me a note as well, tom@tommartinmedia.com. But please contact Victoria because her program is amazing and it really is changing the world person by person. So thank you so much for joining
And
me today.
and Tom, I can be reached on Facebook as well as Victoria Essner, Vicky the Hummingbird. So I truly I'm honored and thank you very much for having me as your guest. I appreciate all that you do to help us. And I just want to a little shout out for Tom. Guys, reach out to him. He's amazing. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you. You're so generous, very inspiring, and I enjoyed it. And I really hope people follow up with you because together we can do so much. Thanks again.